Trying to wait till they go off. Okay. Hi, guys, and welcome to season 3, episode 3 of Java and the Librarians. We didn't do one for March, we just missed it by like a couple of days, but that's okay. We're here now. My name is Erica. I am a full time young adult librarian, soon to be referenced, and YA part time.
I'm so excited for you. My name is Kim, and I'm the head of children's and teen librarian at my library.
Okay, so today we are going to talk to you about something a little bit different that we've never done before. Because we're both librarians and we both work in planning programs for kids, and sometimes I plan programs for adults. We're going to talk about library programming and giving you our tips and tricks on how to have a successful program, as well as what to do when your program doesn't go quite as well as you may have wanted it to go, because we have a few of those. And so the first thing I do want to say is, and if you're not a people person, this is probably not the job for you, because if you are like the go-to person when they're asking about programming and what's going in the library, circulation is going to come to you, reference is going to come to you. So if you're not that type of person, then there are other departments within the library that you can work in if you want to be a librarian or work as in the library. So yeah, I just wanted to say that because it's not for everybody, and also everybody is not as creative as other librarians as well, but you bring your own uniqueness to it too. So, do you
Agreed.
wanna go start, or you just want me to? It doesn't matter. Whatever you wanna do.
Um, I don't know. So I kind of started jotting down some notes, and what I focus on a lot, particularly right now because we're in budget season. So in my town, so we're trying to convince them not to cut us, and we're trying to explain to our constituents that we're more than books, because we hear a lot of like, well, I just go to Savers and buy books, or I just go to Salvation Army and they're 50 cents. And or people who are lucky enough to be able to just go on Amazon, or pull out their tablet and spend the 12, 15, 19.99 on a book. We're constantly talking about how we're more than just books, and a lot of that sort of connects to programming in some way, shape, or form, whether it's like writing, helping someone with their resume, helping someone register their child for kindergarten because they don't have a computer at home and everything's digital. So that's kind of where my mind already is. So that's sort of how I started jotting down my notes here. So just with some examples of things that we do. So like I said, we here in our town, kindergarten registration is like 90% online. And we have higher than the national average of households in my little town. It's actually only like 11 square miles, but we have higher than the national average of households without access to the internet. So homework that's done on the computer, kindergarten registration that's done on the computer, job applications that are done on the computer. We have like 1 in 4 households in our community can't access that at home. They have to go somewhere else to do it. And if they're a child, then, and if they can't get their homework done at school, then they have the library. If they're an adult and they don't have the type of job like we do, where we have a lot of computer access, the library might be all they have. So that was kind of where my brain was, just kind of with programming in general. Um, but they are so much work. There's so much work. And it's like it doesn't matter what the program is, like it just manages to take over your gosh darn life. And I'm sure that we won't be able to help but dive deep into that.
Yeah. It's a lot that goes into programming, and the way our library is set up is that we turn in programs, I think it's a month or 2 months in advance. So, like, if programs are due in, let's say, July, August, September, we're turning in September programs in July. So, we're already planning for the fall, like, right now, even though we just turned in summer reading, we're planning
Mhm.
for the fall now.
Yeah.
And it can be from the small thing as planning a little craft to something that's as big as a STEM project. It still requires the same amount of focus when you're trying to plan and execute your program. And it can be frustrating at the same time because you feel like is maybe not be enough, especially if you don't have any teens come or I'm saying teens because that's the majority what I work with, but
Mhm.
it applies to everybody. You just have to factor it into the audience that you're working with. And it could be like that if you don't have anybody come to your programs. I know the first one that I did a Hunger Games program, and I wasn't even working. I was a page at the time, and I was in school, and I sat out that semester, and I asked the youth coordinator, like, "Do you need any help with anything?" And I was helping her the program tables and stuff like that, and I, asked her if I could do a program for the Hunger Games, like a movie release program, and I went all out for that program. I made, like, the little, silver parachutes out of the foam, plate
Oh
trays and
my
stuff like that, and the
gosh.
Jeopardy game, and also I was so excited about it, and I had a good turnout. Well, when I got moved to another branch, I did the same amount put the same amount of effort into it, I didn't have anybody come to my program, and then
Mhm.
after that, I didn't have anybody come to the program as well, and I think that went on for a good couple of weeks, and I had to kind of see what worked and what didn't work. I had to also remember that I was working with a whole different set of audience as well because what that those group of kids like, this group of kids may not like. So you got to
Mhm.
have to kinda figure out your balance and your medium. You can always implement new things with your programming, with your originality, if that makes sense. And
It's
so
yeah.
so, that's kinda like the problem that I ran into when I got moved from the branch I was working in. And like you said with the, things that are online, we offer Homework Louisiana, which I am a big advocate for. It's basically an online tutoring service, and it's all free. I use it when I was in school.
Mm.
It's from K through college, and I love it so much. And so I created a day one day at least one day out of the week. And for that program, it's just a tutoring program because not a lot of kids in the area that I work in can't afford tutoring.
Mhm.
Um, you know, they just can't, and it breaks my heart that they don't have access to things that the library offers, and we wanna let them know that we are more than just books. And
Mhm.
also, we have other different resources, like if they're working on state projects, we have a resource called A to Z, can't think of the name of it, but it's for state projects. And so it's a whole lot more than just books that we do have. And you can implement those programs to better increase your stats and also the community's knowledge of what else you do have
Mhm.
as far as like resources. So there's a lot of things that you can factor your programs in. You just kind of have to know your audience and what it is that they need and target those elements as well.
Mhm. Mhm. The same kind of thing that happened with you happened with me. So the first well, so I worked at this library. Well, I volunteered at one library, and they kind of had hired me onto a page. But almost immediately after that, I got offered a full-time job at. I was doing double duty two libraries. So I'll say my first library that I worked at, but really there was one library before that. But the first library that I worked at with, where I had my first like full-time job, is the same library that I'm in now. I just came back as the department head, as opposed to when I started and I was a library assistant. And I remember um, I kind of just sort of accidentally taking over a lot of their teen programming. There were a couple kids who would come in, like teenagers, older kids, high school kids, and I just kind of just wanted to reach out to them. So I noticed that they did a lot of like drawing, they did like a lot of manga, and they, read like a lot of that stuff. And so I kind of like built the connection, and it just kind of like grew from there. So when I started, it was really just these three girls that were coming into the library to kind of just have something to do after they got out of school. And by the time I left, like it was just a mob scene. There were kids everywhere. But I would do a lot of various and random programs. I was able to start a book club, like a really good one, actually, a very good and thriving book club there. Something that, for the record, I will say have never been able to repeat. Not even back at the same
Mine's
library.
never work out.
I mean, it was great. We called it a free read book club because for some reason these kids didn't want to read the same book. They just didn't. Some of them were different reading levels. Some of them just had very different interests. some had like moral issues, like they just wanted to read a certain kind of things that fit in with their moral values. So I was like, all right, I was like, well, everyone pick a book, and then our book club will essentially be book talking and then swapping and trading books with each other. And then I will book talk like 8 or 9 books, and you guys can like pull from what I have. That went on, I kid you not, for like over a year. And it just grew and grew. And now I'm back at the same darn library. Okay. The same place. But those kids that I'd worked with before have grown up and they're in their
Mhm.
20s now. And it's a whole new group of people. And although I have very like dedicated kids, I call them my library squad, kids who come in every day, they want to help, they want to volunteer, they want to do whatever, will not come to a book club, not even a graphic novel book club. I was like, guys, I'm trying to work with you here. But that is just not what the current population that I have wants. Like they want nothing to do with it. So not only do you have to adjust to your location, and what the sort of the people in an urban population might want or need versus people in a rural and maybe affluent population, where I also worked at one point, might want or need. Sometimes the people who are just using your library rotate and change, and you have to figure out that that's happened and then rotate and change with them. And good gosh, it is not easy. And it is, like you said, very, very time consuming.
Yeah, I tried the book club. In fact, I had 3 guys that wanted to start the book club themselves, and I was like, "Okay, I'll let you guys run it. You tell me what you need, and I'll put it on paper, and I'll get your supplies, but I'm gonna let you all run it." I thought that maybe if I let them do it, then it would kinda get in motion and get participation with it, but they only came one time, and
Oh
then, like I
no.
said, we have turning programs so early. And so by that I think I had it on the schedule for like maybe 3 months or 4 months, and they stopped coming. I took it off. And they came back and it was like, Miss Erica, where's the book club? I was like, well, I hadn't even seen y'all. I didn't know we were still doing it. I was like, I gave it all to you all. And I felt like now that strategy has worked before. If they come in and say, "Well, I wanna try to do this certain program," and I'll say, "I'll let you guys figure it out what you wanna do, just let me know, and if it goes what we can do, we can allow in the library, then we will do it, but Imma let you all run it." And I feel like with them running the program and not me just hovering over them or just forcing a program that I think that I like, they may not like. It's something that
Mhm.
they like, and maybe they would participate and get their friends involved as well. And that did work sometimes, but the majority of it, it didn't, especially with the book club, because I really wanted the book club. I came up with a nice name and everything for 'em, and they did not wanna do it, and they're grown now. They just recently came in, they're driving. So, yes, I felt really old. And so I started working with teens 7 years ago, and when I got there was a good core group of teens at this library versus the one that I was at previously, and now all those are all gone, and I did have to start back over. And with
Mhm.
these set of kids, like, the other kids didn't like. So, kinda had to, just kinda peruse and try to figure it out, and
Yep.
as well as, like, introducing yourselves, because you have to make whether it's kids, teens, or adults, you have to make them feel comfortable around you, because especially the kids will be brutally honest with you,
True.
and the teens will just be like, "Get out my face," and the adults will just completely ignore you. So, you had to make them feel comfortable around you. So, introducing yourself, which I was afraid to do at first when I was working with the kids, because I looked like a teen right along with them.
Yep.
But, introducing yourself to them and just like, "Hey, I'm the library," or the young adult librarian here, or if you see something that they're doing and you know a little bit about it, engage in a conversation, and they'll be like, "You know about this too?" And
Yep.
so that's like, I have to make them comfortable as well. But when I'm trying to plan a program, it's good to have a checklist off, because if you don't, you'll be all over the place. So if
Yep.
you think that you're going to be doing a craft, You need to make sure, first of all, that it's something that can be done within the time frame that you are allowed to do a program. Also, you need to see if it's going to be something that is not as tedious, because what may not be as hard for you may be as hard for them, because not a lot of kids are on the same level as far as creativity. So you need to make sure that it's something that everybody, like if it's generic or if everybody can do it as well. And your supplies, because I'm pretty sure most libraries know, I do, my library, the budgets is real.
Oh.
So you gotta be prepared for no's and alternatives, because we're librarians, we're creative and innovative. And so we come up with different things, and it's a fun job. It's a fun and rewarding job, but it does have its cons with it as well, with the programming. And I get a lot of my stats from outreach than I do inside a library, which
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was the other way around, but it's I heard one lady in a webinar say that outreach is not about bringing people to your library, it's about bringing the library to the people. And
Yep.
at first I was like, I never heard of that, because the purpose of the outreach is to bring them to the library.
Yep.
But you have that certain population or percentage that don't go to the library. And so with you taking everything from the library and bringing it to them, your goal is to maybe like, now that we offer this, we can bring them to the library. But they also know that you offer online things. So regardless if they check out ebooks or participate in online surveys that you're doing as like a passive program, they're still
Mhm.
utilizing the library even if they're not coming in, because you still count those stats at the end of the month.
Sure do. You sure do. Yeah, we do. So funny enough, with regards to outreach. So the library I was at before the one that I'm currently in, I was split between two locations. So in 1 week, I would spend 2.5 days at one of our branches. It was the second biggest branch in our system. And I would spend 2.5 days, um, funnily enough, on our bookmobile. You want to talk about outreach? So I would spend, so we called it 2.5 days because 2 days I was on the bookmobile, 2 days I was in a branch, and then on Wednesdays, strangely enough, I split my time. So we would have our book ordering meeting during the day. So that was when I was technically the branch. And in the afternoon, I'd probably sometimes go out and drive out to the bookmobile and do this, that, and everything. So um, I mean, when you want to talk about outreach, one of the things that I have a hard time explaining to people, that with regards to programming, that is so time consuming, are story times, because they just don't understand. They're like, what do you mean you just sit and read a story to a kid? And I'm like, no, 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 friend. No, 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 friend. I don't know if you've taken the Every Child Ready to Read class, or if anyone who stumbles across this video or is listening has heard the Every Child Ready to Read class, but it's basically a class that we librarians go through, where we learn how to teach other people to prepare their children for school and for reading. So it's kind of like a conglomerate of all the things that you should do with your child before they even hit preschool or kindergarten. And they break it up into 5 core concepts that I'm so glad I wrote down, because I'm always afraid I'll forget one. But it's read, sing, play, write, and talk. And so we're encouraged to try to incorporate all of those things into one story time. So, I mean, you've got things like reading the books, but then you've got songs and rhymes and games that might be done with a felt board. And like, do you have a craft? Do you not have a craft? Like, with that craft, are you trying to include sensory fit? Like, it goes and goes. And when I was working at this previous library and I was on a bookmobile, I could do, get this, I could do up to 10 story times a day in
What?
one day. I know. So
You
we
have to
would like
tell my
pull
story
up.
time for me.
I'm story timed out. So where I am now, I was brought in to run the teen programming, but manage the overall department. So I manage our budget. So yes, the budget struggle is, they're like, Kim, can we? And I'm like, oh no, y'all, we might have to find another way. So I manage like the budget and like outreach, and deal with the teachers and coordinate some reading between the branches and blah blah blah. But with regards to my programming, I was brought in mostly to do teen, but that doesn't and did not mean that I shouldn't also do things with the younger kids. But I walked in there and I told them, I said, listen, y'all. I said, I'm going to need a minute because I just came from doing like 20 story times a week, split between my two bookmobile days. Sometimes at one point we were doing afternoon story times in the branch. So I would do 10 story times on the bookmobile one day, 10 story times in the bookmobile another day, story times, on Fridays in the afternoons. I was story timed to death, like to death. But like you said, lists were really great for me when I was doing that. But another thing that would help, obviously not in the bookmobile because we were on a bus, but with doing programs in the building, I'm a big fan of floor plans, which I know can be a little weird, but the bigger the program that I do, the more I need a floor plan. Like the more I need to see what table is going where, with what craft, what decorations. Like it just sort of helps me map out everything in my mind before we do it. And then if I do have, say, teen volunteers helping me set up for a program, we have our master sheet. And because you might spend a week or two building your program from scratch, you don't forget anything. Like if you just turn to your floor plan and adjust as need be, that was that like a lifesaver
Mhm.
many, many, many times. Um, but yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like you, I'm also in the middle of summer reading. So I kind of always have that on my mind where I'm like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? I have the titles for some programs that I at this moment have no idea how to execute. Like not a clue. I just
Mhm.
know I'm going to do it. And really list, floor plans, and Pinterest and blogs are what help me build build those things from nothing.
Yeah, like, with me personally, I can't do story time. I'm just not I can't do it. I prefer the teens over the
Yeah.
babies, but if
Yeah.
I am called to do it, I will do it. I will It's gonna be the most awkward thing ever, but I will do it. I had to do it because our children's librarian was out, and I was reading a story, and the little girl just kept interrupting me, and she was like, "Excuse me, why is this doing this and this?" And I was like, "You got to be quiet if you need me to finish the story."
Oh,
And I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, "Okay, I can't do this. I'm a teens person. I can't do it. I prefer teens all the way, but if I have to do children's, then I will." But in our branch, we do have well, in our system, we do have some librarians that are teens and children's, and
Mhm,
I don't know how they do it. I really don't because planning we have story time twice a day. On I think Monday we have like the baby story time, and Tuesdays
mhm,
we have um the preschool, I think, and
mhm.
school age story time, but we don't have it a lot through the week. I think it's maybe 3 days out of the week we have story time. But
Okay.
yeah, so I could give all that to her. I'll help her set up the room, I'll help her do everything she do. I just don't want to read the story. Anything. I just can't do it, but
It's
that goes
insane.
to show you what I said before, you need to find out where you fit in it, because it shows
Mhm,
like, your work will show, um, where you like to be at, you know?
mhm,
But
mhm. Yeah,
oh my goodness.
I think so. Like my thing, and it is strange. Like you would, I am cool with those preschoolers, those 3 to 5 year olds. Like I got it. Like we connect on a level that makes no sense. I have these kids that are like, oh, hey, did you see? I'm like, I sure did, girl. I sure did. Turn the page, and just like for some reason, I have no issues with that. But those babies, the babies, I panic. We used to do bouncing babies. We've had different versions of baby story times to album, but they're all basically lap plays,
Mhm.
which like how you feel with the young ones, just like I'm cool, like I said, with those 3 to 5, but the act, like they can't even. They all they just do is sit there. Half of them are asleep, and then we have to sit around and bounce our knee. And I don't even have a baby, so I'm like air babying and woo and patty, and I just like can't. And I'm like, do I look as silly as I feel right now? So I struggle with any kind of baby time, and I'm lucky. There are three of us full time who work on my floor, and we've just kind of naturally divided in a way that works for all of us. We've got one person who does the little ones, basically like birth to 6 or birth to like 8. And then we've got someone else who does kind of like the 8 to 12 ish kind of age, even though I sometimes dip into 12-year-olds. And then I just like take everybody else. And I mean, we can flip flop. Like I have to run Tinker Time tomorrow. We'll
Mhm.
see how that works out. I'm not I'm not sure. I've never done it before. Um, I have to run Tinker Time tomorrow. So like we will flip flop, but clearly we're all very comfortable in our own little
Yeah.
conglomerate.
Yeah, I know that sometimes we have to get out of our comfort zone, but I just hope it's just not as often. Not often. And like even with adult programs, like I'm good at that too. Like I will, if it's not teens, it'll be adults. Children will be my last resort. Like the last thing. And sometimes I feel like, especially sometimes in my system, and other systems may feel this way too. I feel like sometimes teens are like the underdogs or like the most underrated ones because
They are.
we like when we have our summer fest is getting ready to kick off for summer reading in May, and it's mostly kids there, and it's nothing really there for our teens, and that's what we're working on now is having a separate kickoff for the teens or having a certain area outside just for them, because we've done it before and it got kind of taken over by the kids, and
Mhm.
I'll be quick to be like, "Nope, this is for the teens. Got yours over there. This is for the teens. This is for them." But I do, and then even, like, inside the branches, I don't have a computer at my desk. I don't have a phone, but in the children's section, there's a computer, there's a phone, extensions, and all of that stuff. But it's just, even, like, with Pumpkin Bash, that's, like, the fall festival, and it's
Mhm.
mostly kids there. It's not not adults, teens. So
Yep.
it's not we're just trying to find ways to make them feel like they're important too,
Yeah. Yeah.
outside of just the kids, because everything as a whole the library does is for the kids, which
Yep.
is, I mean, it's a good thing because you have to start them young with
Hmm.
the library, but I just feel like sometimes that the teens need a little extra care with it,
Yeah.
and that's why I try so hard to kind of, when I am doing my programming, to kind of make them feel like, especially where I am, 'cause a lot of my teens walk to my
Hmm.
branch,
Hmm.
and if it's too late or too dark, they won't come, and they don't have
Hmm.
access to the main branch where all those big functions are going to, and so, I try to have, like, my own little small kickoff at my branch, the way they can come to it, and then, like, we had Zombie Prom as well, which is, like, my favorite program. I cannot
Yeah.
wait to Zombie Prom. But, we actually have a good turnout from that, and I have some teens from my area that do come to that
Hmm.
as well, but for the
Hmm.
majority part, they can't, and I don't know, I just try to create an atmosphere where they can come and hang out and be like, "Okay, I am wanted here. There are things here for me to do," and
Yeah.
so but
For
it's
the
just
record, the names of all of those programs that you just dropped real quick sound bomb. And I might need some details and some outlines and some floor
yes.
plans. I just wanted to just quickly, I'm like, pumpkin bash, zombie prom,
Yes, this is
summer
like
fest.
our for Pumpkin Bash, I think this is our 30th annual Pumpkin Bash, and it's basically each branch, I think well, last year we started partnering up, but each branch creates their own game. So it's like a little fall carnival. And instead of handing out candy, we hand them out, we like punch their little stickers, and once they with a little punching card, and once they get all the little stamps or punch, they go to a table and they get free books. And so, and they can dress up in their little costumes, and we have costume contests from certain age group, like babies to preschools and all that, that. And then for Summerfest, It's kind of the same thing. Branches just create their own games and kick off the summer reading. We have like Eskimos there that have the shaved ice cream cones and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And
Yeah.
what else do they have there? Okay, having a moment.
Joy. They have
Yes.
joy.
Right, and oh, like tables to sign up for summer reading and just promote it, and they
Mhm.
get points every time they, go to a program or log in a program and things like that. And that's
Mhm.
all for kids. Well, that's for everybody. But Zombie Prom is strictly for 12 to 18. It's
Yes.
strictly for that, and you will see the most interesting costumes.
So
I'm telling
awesome.
you, they are the most interesting. And it's all free. Like, it's just like if they were going to a dance, they would come to the library, get a
Mhm.
prom ticket, not prom ticket, a ticket, and then they
Yeah.
go. We crown like the zombie prom and zombie king
That's
and queen.
cute.
We have a
Yeah.
DJ that comes, and it's fun.
What?
Yes,
That
so
is awesome. I think we might be a little bit more low budget, but apparently the program where the kids were like, Miss Gift, this is the best program we've ever been to ever. And I hadn't even been there for a whole year that yet. So I was like, whoop, whoop. We did for Halloween, which I think is also my favorite. Like I don't know, I feel like I like the creative juices are flowing like in the
yeah, my favorite
Halloween
time of
prom
the year.
time. We did, and I did this for the first time, and they demanded that we do it every year. Was a glow in the dark party, like a blacklight party, and and so here's an example of the amount of time. We keep saying like these programs take a lot of time, they take a lot of planning. I had an itemized list of everything that I needed for all of the crafts, all of the games, the snacks. We made glow in the dark lemonade with like seltzer. I think it's either seltzer water or it's a type of water that happens to glow when it's in black light. So then we did the lemonade punch and it was like a glowy yellow. I mean, everything that we needed to collect, that we needed to send out an all staff email for to see if people would bring in for us. Um, I started the planning for that in maybe July, August,
Mhm.
around that time.
Sounds about right.
Um, yeah, we do the 2 month also. So what is it, April? We've already submitted our May June program. We said our deadline for our May June program submission is like March 15th. So like
Mhm.
they're already out, and we're just like double checking the flyer information and stuff. But that's the Blacklight Party is a program that we also do just for 12 to 18-year-olds. We say 7th to 12th graders just because of the way our schools are broken down.
Mhm.
And It was a ball, but it took me, I kid you not, it took me like 3 hours to set up the room for an hour plus long program.
Yeah.
It was, and I always say this and people laugh at me. I have plantar fasciitis. It's a very fun word to say, but I actually have it like really seriously. When I went, they took an ultrasound of my foot, and he was just like, "You need a cortisone shot." So like it gets pretty intense. I was limping by the time I
Mhm.
broke everything down and went back upstairs from having been constantly on my feet for so long. But that was another one of those programs. And I think something we haven't quite hit yet, but we did talk a little bit about was people not coming to your programs. At least for me, and I don't know if this is a theater major in me, but there's an emotional toll that
Mhm.
takes on me too. When I spend, say, if I had spent 4 hours setting up for the blacklight party and no one came, I literally would have been like, I'm bad at my job. I need to quit. I
Yeah.
need a cubicle somewhere where I don't have to talk to anybody because clearly I'm awful. um, Luckily, like I said, it was the complete opposite. So that's something that we're going to be doing for our teens every year. But anytime I have a program that I've put, if I have a program that maybe I didn't put a whole lot of effort into and no one comes, I'm like, oh, thank God. But, but if I like put my heart and soul and month and friends budget money, like we request a lot from our friends because our budget is so small,
Mhm.
and then no one comes to my program, I am distraught. Like we all know not to take it personally, but I cannot help it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know.
Yeah, and like when you said about the budget for like Zombie Prom, like even though it's like a bigger program here, it still could probably be done to accommodate you because even though we
Oh,
had a
yeah.
live DJ, you can plug
Hmm.
in a Spotify. I think
Yep.
the most expensive thing would probably be is the security because you have to hire them after hours. And that's what we
Hmm.
have. That would probably be the most expensive thing that you would probably have to kind of look into.
Hmm.
But it goes back from what we were saying before, just fit it to accommodate your audience and your budget and what you are allowed to do as far as your library policy. But
Hmm.
when I planned a career day, um, and I had gotten contact with all of my was it a college day I did or it was one of them things where I just contacted the colleges, I contacted local businesses,
Hmm.
and I even got a speaker to come. And he was like the media coordinator for the city. And I got him to
Hmm.
come. I sent out flyers to the schools. I sent out a radio little thingy. And my the staff and we got there a little bit early because since it was in the kind of like morning, afternoons, like a brunch thing. So we fixed
Hmm.
and a nice little spread of food and everything. I only had 2 people show up. And it was they didn't even come to the program. They were
No.
there just in the library. And I was like, you know that meme of Kermit looking out the window when he said, when you just finished a book, you don't know what to do with yourself. I was just like that. I remember sitting in that meeting room and just looking out the window. Like, earnestly, like, what did I do wrong?
That's
I have
exactly
been
right.
planning. I have been planning for that forever. I have been planning for that program, and I had to go and like, I got refreshments. They're just staying there just 5-10 minutes. I even have pulled staff. I'm like, just going in there. I'll cover for you. Don't worry about it. Just going in there. Oh my
Oh.
god, that was probably one of the worst experiences of doing my job. The worst ones. But I learned something because I did it on a Saturday thinking that because they were out of school
Hmm.
and, even though that would be better, it wasn't. I found out
Hmm.
that we got more traffic during the week than we did on a Saturday.
Hmm.
And it's just like even though you have those horrible, horrible experiences, you still can learn from, okay, this did not work. So what else
Yeah.
do I need to try and do? And
Yeah.
like with the zombie prom, it takes us because we go out. It's a Saturday night from 7 to 10, but
Hmm.
then Friday from 1 to 5 we're setting up. That's how long it takes
Hmm.
us. And it's
Yes.
every YA person in each department comes, and sometimes we have to pull maybe some of the guys from the branch that we're hosting at to come and put the blood thingy. That sounds so funny. When I was saying it in my head, it was okay. It's not
At
blood.
least
It's
splatter
like
blood on the
blood
wall.
splatter sheets on the wall
Yeah.
to set up. And there was like the past 2 years, there has been a decrease in the attendance, but it was a good crowd for us to keep doing it.
Hmm. Hmm.
But oh my god, their career fair was like that was like because like when I before I moved to that branch, when I did the Hunger Games program, that boosted my confidence, my ego, because the kids was happy about that. And I got to
Hmm.
this branch and I was just running on that high and nobody came. Nobody. Oh my god, I remember like it was just I was sitting in front of that window like, "Oh my god, what did I do wrong? What did I do?" And I was so positive about it, and I told the speaker, I was like, "You know what? We have 2 in here, but these 2 will go tell other people about this program
Oh.
and everything else that we did, and we're gonna have people come in there." Sometimes you have to motivate yourself because I found myself being like this recently, like I'm not getting as much, participation as I was before, and
Hmm.
I feel like that sometimes I'm limited to what I can do, or not necessarily wasted where you are, but you just feel like I'm doing all of this programming, nobody's coming, and you feel like you're not doing something right. When and it actually you're doing everything that you can do. You're doing your flyers, you're doing your outreaches, you're telling people about your program, and you have to just realize it's not you. It's just it's nothing that you can help. And
Yeah.
once I realized that, I got better at handling my disappointment. The disappointment will still be there,
Yeah.
but I got better at handling it because it really did. Like you plan these programs and nobody comes. Like And nobody, especially if you wrote a grant, and then you have to go
Mhm,
back and write an evaluation about the program.
mhm,
And
mhm.
for me personally, having to go and be like, nobody came. I asked you for $200 worth of such and such. Nobody came.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, it can be kind of rough, but it comes with the territory. It comes
Yes.
with it. You're gonna have great programming, and then you're gonna have the ones like My Career Day. It just fails. And so that's like the ultimate downside of programming. Period. Uh,
Yep. It's so you never know. The one thing I'm dealing with that right now is with our teen advisory board, and it kills me because every time I turn around, someone else has like a amazingly successful teen advisory board, and I'm like, stop it, or like
mhm.
whatever they call their council or whatever.
Yeah.
The kids in our community, just like most communities, need to get volunteer hours. So be it for National Honor Society, or if they want to walk with like an extra cord, like for graduation, or their mom is making them, whatever. We're just like inundated with that kind of stuff. So I was like, great. I was like, I'm going to do teen advisory board. And because I already had, like, again, like I said, my library squad or kids who came in, they're like, Miss Kim, you should do this. Miss Kim, you should do that program. Miss Kim, you should do that program.
Mhm.
So they had all these ideas. And I had kids that were like, Miss Kim, do you need help with anything? Do you need anything cut out? Do you need help? Like they naturally kind of wanted to be a part of what was going on. So I was like, great, we're going to organize this. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. We're going to meet like once a month and we're going to do it. So first time it was great. I had like 10 kids. Awesome. Second time it was like, like it wasn't sure. I think we had to call some kids like they had forgotten. But then, they came because like all of my kids can walk. Like they're all within walking distance.
Mhm.
The older ones who come on the regular, like who can come on their own without a parent. Um, the last two that I did, nobody came. And the crazy thing is, these kids are in the library every day,
Mhm.
every day. So there were some kids who were there and then left to like do whatever, go to Dunkin' Donuts, Burger King, walk around. I don't know. And then I was like, hey, you guys come back for Teen Advisory Board? They're like, oh yeah, Miss Kim. Didn't come back until like it had been like an hour after it was over. And I'm sitting here trying to understand like what did I do? What happened? Were there not enough snacks? Like, I mean, we were doing like cards for kids, which they really liked. One kid wanted to play in a Pokemon card tournament and actually like, he made the flyer. He, made like little game decks of whatever. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, I was like, okay, okay. Kids wanted to do penny wars, so we were competing with the town next door, which I think is also a lot of fun.
Cool.
Um, and then just out of nowhere, they're all gone. Like they're still here. I still see them, but for some reason they magically are not in the library for the time that I'm designated for teen advisory board. Like, where am I go? Where am I go? Which is like all y'all are gone. And so I was like, it's got it. You don't get offended. You just kind of like go on and
Yeah.
but then I'm like, this 2 months in a row. So it's just I make an agenda, and kind of go through and it's the same
Yeah.
kids, like it's not
Yeah.
even like I have new kids but that's kind of the thing with kids. They're just gonna do what they're gonna do and stop.
I have a question. Okay, so how do you handle, because I get this a lot. How do you handle patrons who have kids or that are trying to transition from children's to YA? Because I always get, I don't want, when they were trying to get into the books, they say, I don't want to have kissing. I don't want to have anything hints about relationships. I don't have this. I'm like, okay, first of all, this is a teen section. Do you realize that? This is happening with the teens, and probably about 80-90% of YA books are have a foundation of
Yep,
romance in them.
yep,
So,
yep.
also, I get that with programs because it's 12 to 18, and
Mhm,
sometimes I have a parent that may not want their 12-year-old daughter in there with a 17-year-old boy, even though
mhm.
I'm in there or somebody else is helping with the program, and, like, so do you get that problem?
So no. No, okay, okay. Where I am now, no. When I worked in a rural affluent area with only like 4,000 people in it, definitely the books, 100%. So with where I am now, like I said, it's pretty urban. Like it's a community that needs more, like it's not very affluent. So a lot of the kids that come are like latchkey kids, so their parents aren't even home, their parents are working, or whatever, they live with grandparents who are like older, or and we also have a lot of kids in our area who are in the system. So we've got kids who are with who are living with foster homes. So with the older kids in particular, a lot of the times I'll never see someone's parent. I'll just never see them.
Mhm.
Um, so with regards to the parent kind of having concerns with books, or with the ages of programs, or like right now I'm re-eking into anime club. It's like I try to start a darn anime club every library I go to. And sometimes it's like there are 30 kids, and sometimes there's like six, but they're a dedicated six. So like I'm
Mhm.
just in the beginnings of eking that out. And I just had to put the biggest disclaimers on the flyer. Like, listen, this program, the minimum age for the child is 13, because anything I show may be PV 13. I'm not allowed to advertise it on flyers in advance, but I will want, like I had to go whole hog on
Yeah.
advertising, just so, especially with anime, you have to pre-watch it, because don't let that cover shot try to tell you need to watch it. You need to watch
Yeah.
it all. I learned that the hard way. Um, but most of the older kids who come into the library do not come with their parents. So like it's not a concern here. Um, the transition, I'm just, or like from like maybe younger kid programs to older programs, I'm just beginning to see it with like a handful of kids. So like I said, most of the kids who come, the older kids, their parents aren't there, but I'm starting to get a few kids who are aging into my programs, who will come to some of the, I don't know, like more tame programs, I guess you can call them. Like sometimes I'll pull out perler beads, and I'll just like a perler bead program, or I'll just
Yeah.
let them make their things. Or we did Teen Jeopardy like last week or the week before. So I'm beginning to see some new kids come into that, who are coming with their parents, because like they're right on the cusps of the age here. I'm in Connecticut, and children who are under 12 have to be chaperoned by
Right.
someone, like someone older. So when I have 12-year-olds coming to my programs, because the parents are used to having to stay for the younger kid programs, they're still staying for the older programs. And like, it's just, even I'm kind of trying to be like, should I take this parent out? But like, I understand, like I'm just kind of
Yeah.
playing that by ear right now.
Yeah.
Um, Books are just an issue forever. I don't, and I get it. I understand wanting to ease into that, or I understand a parent wanting to ease their child into that to the best of their ability. Even though I can tell you, if your kid takes a bus to school, forget it. Forget it. I learned
Mhm.
so many things on my school bus rides to and from school, that goodness gracious.
Yeah.
But what I do is I try to have a reserve of what I like kind of in my mind call like young adult. So, and I think I even have I called it something else, but I think I have a list on Goodreads. So of books that are relatively tame. Like it's darn near impossible to find something that doesn't have some sort of romance in it. Like it's really really hard.
Very.
But tame. Like that book Jodi Picoult wrote with her daughter. Was it Between the Lines? Between the Pages? I think it's Between the Lines. Super tame. It's about a girl trying who reads a storybook, and like the characters in the storybook are alive, and she likes the prince and is trying to get him out of the book and into the real world. Like half the time there's a whole book between girl and boy, so you don't have to worry about anything like for a parent. There's nothing inappropriate that parents who are a little bit more cognizant of what their children are reading would necessarily deem like an issue, I try to just have like a list of those in the back burner of my mind.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll have a book and I'll just give disclaimers. Like I'll be like, I think this is a great book based off of the things that your child likes. If a kid's like, I like this, boom, 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 boom. I'll pull a book and be like, this book is great, but full disclosure, there's like a big kiss at the end. Do you care?
Yeah.
And it's kind of different with every parent, right? Or I'll be like, I read this book. I think it's great. I know there's nothing like X rated happening, but I can't remember if there are swear words because those don't resonate with me anymore. I just don't
Mhm.
remember. Full disclosure, and then I'll kind of like pass the book along. So I do a lot of that, and my Goodreads list saved my life time
See,
and
I need to do
time
that.
again.
I need to
Oh,
try to
make
do
a
that
good list.
because I run into that problem all the time with books, and I'm just like, I have stickers, like
Oh
parental.
my God.
I have
Oh,
for mature teens. I have those stickers, and I'll be quick. Okay, well, this is probably gonna cause something and sit on there, but this is probably for a whole nother video about like censorship and stuff like that
mm-hmm,
because I am ooh, it irks my nerves. But
mm-hmm.
we're gonna talk about that like because I could talk about that all day,
Me
all
too.
day.
Banned Books Week. Clearly, we're gonna need to have like a show
Yes,
Banned Books Week. I don't care what week it is, and just like
yes,
go whole hog.
because let's get back on subject because I will talk about that. I'll talk about that, but yeah, I need to try
Actually,
that
why I
because
don't sticker. So you were saying that you do stickers. I don't
yeah,
do stickers, and I do it on purpose. I do it on purpose because and we if you are a librarian or budding librarian or going to libraries, you'll know that sometimes there are 97 stickers on a spine telling you 97
yeah,
different things about a book, and it is out of control so quickly. And I don't identify the LGBT books. I don't identify the African American books.
yeah,
I don't identify any of them because I'm like, it's a book. Read it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want a book about theater where someone does this and this, I'm gonna give you a book about that. Now, if the character in that book just so happens to be of the LGBT community, then well, they are. But you asked me for a book where someone's in a play, and I gave you a book where someone's in a play.
mhm,
Here you go. And again, I might just sort of let someone know, like, I don't know if it seems like, oh, by the way, like when I'm book talking, blah, 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 and the character is, LGBTQIA, whatever.
yeah. Because I
I'm not
run into that
describing
with
it.
like, my one of my favorite books is 13 Reasons Why, especially, like, with the TV show that came out, and a
Yeah.
lot of people were kind of like, "Why is this on the shelf?" and all that stuff because of teen suicide. I'm like, "Well, there is so much more than what your narrow mindedness is trying to put on with this book because it
Mm-hmm.
highlights important topics and
It's
about bullying and peer pressure and trying to fit in with the crowd. It highlights a lot of things that our kids go through on a daily
yep,
basis at school. And that can be the focus of a program in a sense of about bullying because it is
yep,
evident kids are killing themselves over bullying.
yep.
And I was just trying to explain to them that there's so much more to this story than just and I just feel like it was because of like the how graphic it is and
Mm-hmm.
how it goes against morals. But there are different like I said, there are different topics that are portrayed in that book that
Yep,
need to be, you know, brought attention to.
yep.
But if you feel like and like I always say, if you feel like your child is not at that level to be reading something like this, then don't let them read it.
Exactly, exactly.
Don't
And
let
I'm
them
going to
read
tell
it.
you another thing that I do, especially as the kids get older. I I try to stop talking to the parents. I try to stop talking to the parents, and not because I'm trying to go against their wishes for their child, but at a certain age, that kid knows what they are and are not allowed to do. Like that kid knows if he's not allowed to read Harry Potter. He knows like they're not discovering it for the first time while they're with me in the library. So there that is.
Yeah.
But I want what I'm doing to be based off of um what that child wants and what that child needs. I keep saying child, but I mean teen, but I want what that child wants and what that child needs, and not necessarily what somebody else wants for them, especially the older kids, like,
Yeah.
especially, you know, 13, 14, 15-year old. And now, what I will say is that we do like yeah, I'm definitely 100% against censorship, but I know different kids are ready for different things. Like, there are some kids who I'll give them a book that fits their criteria, but it has a lot of swearing in it and it makes that child uncomfortable. So I'll be
Mhm.
like, okay, noted. Or, a book, and I remember I gave it to someone and they're like, there's a lot of kissing in here, and I was like, is there? Because, like, I'm so blinded to it at this point that I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
But so when I'm doing my oh my God, what's that fancy library word that I'm looking for? Reference interview? I don't know what the fancy word
Yeah.
is I'm looking for.
I think
Is that right?
you
That
talking, asking questions and stuff.
Yeah, and trying to figure
Yeah,
out what they
reference
want.
interview.
Sure, there you go. Um, when I'm doing that, I do try to cherry pick, like, try to figure out what they're not comfortable with. I don't know if you saw this blog post that was going around Twitter for a while, that, like, a teenager wrote, saying that we need, like, young adult, because not all kids are ready for the, raunchy. Not all kids are ready for, like, hardcore romance. Like, that's just not, like, they're progressing to that. They don't jump
Mhm.
from, Hannah watching Hannah Montana to, 13 Reasons Why. Like, they just don't. Like, they kind of, like, migrate up to it. So this girl wrote a very touching post about that, and about how it was hard for her to find books because it seemed like young adult books were being written for older teens, like
Yeah.
18, 19-year
Like
old
Sarah J.
teens.
Maas.
Exactly.
That had some stuff
Exactly.
in there, and I was like, okay, this is why.
Can we talk about that? I know that next month we are going to be talking about our fave Tahereh Mafi, but can we talk about for just 30 seconds how okay, I'm going to try to say this in as delicate a manner as possible, but how there was a post on books that portrayed women and their sexuality positively, but they were talking specifically about one aspect of a sexual act. Like, they were talking about one specific thing. And they listed the books where, this scene was written and portrayed, and it was done, like, very, like, nice or
Hmm.
whatever. And Sarah J. Maas, I think she had a couple books that popped up on this list. And one of them was Tahereh Mafi. And they were describing, we'll go into detail later. And they were describing the scene, and I was like, did that happen? I was like, and so I'm trying to remember, we're talking about one very specific act. And so I'm like, that did that? When did that? And so I'm like, well, I
Because
gotta go back.
things did happen in the third book,
Girl, and it was the third
chapter
book.
chapter 55. What is it? Third book, chapter 55,
and
56,
that,
I think.
and that might very well be a chapter I'm talking about. But for some reason, I think maybe because I'm an adult and I was reading it with an adult brain, I think in the
Right.
moment I just read it and I was like, oh, girl, and just kind of moved on.
Mhm.
Not, and then I had to go back after reading this article and be like, yo, how many people have I given this book series to that maybe we're not ready to read this
Yeah.
particular thing?
But it was,
Uh,
like, 2 different styles, though, because Tahara Murphy used a lot of imagery with hers.
yeah, yes.
Sarah J. Maas was like, "This is happening. This is this, and this is this."
I
So
haven't read any of her books yet, so I don't
what?
know.
Okay.
I know.
You need to read them. That's all I'm gonna say on that subject. You need to read them because 'cause I'm waiting on the 4th one.
I
The 5th
know.
one, I think that's I don't know. I'm waiting on it to come out in May. I think it comes out in May. But, yeah, that's why I like her Mouth because she does leave a lot to your imagination. She writes with a lot of
Yes,
imagery, flowy
yes,
writing style, but
yes,
Sarah J. Maas was, like, there's nothing to the imagination. It was there in black and white. And so
oh
I was like, because we had somebody complain about it. The 2nd book,
no.
actually. We had somebody complain
Which
about it
one? This
because
Tahar Mafi or Sarah J. Maas?
Sarah J. Maas. We
Oh,
had somebody A Court of Thorns and Roses, that's that one. and we had to put a sticker on it for mature teens because yeah, I feel like that maybe should be in new adult or should everything
If
look
you have a
adult?
section for that, yeah, we don't have a section for that. New adult bounces between teen and I think it just depends
Yeah,
on who buys it. Like, our BFF Colleen Hoover, the Colleen Hoover books that we have are down in adult. But like the Claire Kahn book, like Let's Talk About Love and Emergency, where books where the kids are in college, like the people in the book are in college. I bought them, so they're up in teens. So sometimes it's like a period
yeah,
breakdown. Um, but yeah, I mean, with regards, I'm see now I just really want to find that article. With regards, I mean, they were just talking about they weren't necessarily talking about the writing style. They were talking about here are books where women are portrayed doing this thing and it's okay. And it was just more of a like, yay
yeah,
ladies. But I where I am right now, I'm lucky that I'm talking mostly to the kids because their parents just aren't there. And not that their parents aren't there in a neglectful way. Their parents aren't there because nine times out of 10 they're working or they have other kids if they have to keep it home,
mhm,
so, mostly I'm dealing with the kids and I can kind of figure out what they like based off of my reference interviews. But when I was at that rural library, oh, I mean, I'm going to say helicopter parent, but I don't mean it in a mean way. I mean it
mhm,
in a nice way. It was a very affluent area. So these kids are riding horses, and everybody sold eggs because they all had chickens. All of them. Like it was just so the parents were very active. There were lots of nannies, lots. So the parents were like, great. I mean, it was a whole different world,
yeah,
which is crazy because they're half an hour apart, but driving, but well, the way I drive. Um, but I mean that my Goodreads list, the way I broke them down were all that got me through um, recommending books to kids because the parents were very, very, very insistent on what they did not want.
yep.
The ones that had a preference. Luckily, there were also a good amount of parents who were like, I don't care, words are words. And I was like, great, that's what I think too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
cause like, even, like, I asked them, cause I talk to the kids too, and I always ask them, like, "What is it that you like?" Not just talking about books, like, "What are your hobbies? What do you
Mhm,
like to do outside
mhm,
of school? Like, when you're not in school, like, what do you like to do?" And
mhm.
most of the time, I can pinpoint a book that they like based off the hobby, and it really works a lot with reluctant readers because
Mm,
they feel like it's just textbook, like, they're just
mhm.
reading things they have to for school, and which I hate AR. We're gonna talk about that in another video. I don't like AR because it forces like, I understand the intentions of it and I get it, but you are forcing a child to read a book. Like, let's just say there's one book here that the child really wants to read, and it's not AR, but this book they have to read and it is AR. And I feel like they're just forcing kids to read books that they don't particularly like, they don't like. Versus
What is
us,
AR? Is that something where you guys are? What is that?
yeah, you don't have AR accelerated reader. So, like,
No.
the kid is required like, when I was in school, it wasn't as heavy and it wasn't required, but we got
Mhm.
points and you take tests on them and you get little rewards and stuff, but now it is required. They have to have a certain amount of points, of AR points, before they can go that's factored in their ultimate grade before they can pass to the next grade.
Oh.
And it's like so in our library, we in the children's area especially, we have it all the books labeled, the AR points, and the test. So when they go to school, they can put in the number and they can take a
Mhm.
test, and it's based off their reading levels because we have the reading levels on the spines. Now, with me, I did not put that in my teens books because not all teens read on the same level. I may have a
Yep.
teen that read on a third grade level based off a teen that's probably reading on the 12th grade level. And I
Yep.
felt like with me posting it on the spine, that kinda, like, diminishes the teen's confidence because if they're
Mhm.
checking out a book and they
Mhm.
see another teen right beside them getting a
Mhm.
much higher level, it makes them feel like they're not competent enough to read that book. And
Mhm.
I hate and that's what I get from AR because, like, who are you to determine what reading level I'm on? As long as I'm reading a book and I'm retaining the
Yeah.
information on it, then and I'm enjoying it at the same time, that's all that should matters. A system should not tell me what reading level I am on. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we have now. And
No.
I wish we could just do away with it. But like I said, when I was in school, it wasn't as heavy as it is now. And so I always ask them what it is that they like to do. And
Mhm.
with a guy, maybe football, okay, I'm gonna go get what's his name? Lupier? He writes
Yeah.
a lot of sport books.
Lupica,
Yeah.
Matt, and then there's Matt Christopher. He's the other one who does a lot of sports
Yeah.
books.
So I go
Yep.
find his books. Or if a
Mhm.
girl likes to do hair, I go find a hair book or something like that. And that helps reluctant readers get into your library too, because all they thinking is that it's just stuff in there that they have to read and not stuff they may actually like.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I feel like with there's no such thing as reluctant readers. I just feel like they just need to find exactly their niche and what they like
Yep.
to read.
Yep.
And when you put a label on kids like that, it's just like you're saying they're another statistic because I'm labeled as a reluctant reader, so oh well. But
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And then it also makes other kids think that they can't read those books because they don't fit into that niche. So
right.
like some does them oh my God, we talk about those stickers all the time. Just like librarians in general, like when we get together at conferences or whatever. I swear spine label stickers come up every
Yeah.
single time. Like to label a book historical or not to label a book historical, to label a book LGBT or to not label a book LGBT. Like it just goes and it's like, well, I've got some kids who come in, they all they want to read, you know, books about African Americans. So I labeled the books, you know, with African American stickers, but then the other kids won't read them because it looks like they're not supposed to, and it just goes and goes
Yeah.
and goes. And I'm like, for the love of
Like, I
God,
will take that extra time and just search the catalog. If that's what you want
exactly,
specifically, I will take the time and search the catalog for it because I had a
exactly.
patron ask me, like, because we have DVDs, and she'll say, "Where are your black movies?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about because I watch everything."
Yeah, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So
exactly, exactly.
or, like, your black books, like the urban fiction.
Yep, yep.
And we do have, like with me, I'm just like, this may fall under the censorship thingy, but I like to have everything together because don't separate it. Or they be like, "Okay, I'm not gonna start it," but just have it all together. Fiction is fiction. If you want a
Mm-hmm.
specific type, ask me and I'll search in the catalog and I'll try to find it for you. But
Or
it's not gonna
learn how to
be
search
over
the
here.
catalog yourself.
Yes, you
Sometimes
can
that
do
gets
that.
on my nerves. Yeah.
But we have that section of black books or urban fiction books, and they'll ask me for it, and I was just like, "Well, I don't know. I read all types of
Mm-hmm.
books." So
Mm-hmm. I do the same.
so I
Sometimes if
can take you
I
to
feel
the
in some
fiction
kind of
shelf,
way.
and I
Yeah.
you can browse the shelf if you would like, unless you have a specific title in mind. I can see if it's checked
Mhm.
in, but it's all together.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
it's just it's a lot. People say that you should like you come home tired, and they're like, "Well, you shouldn't be tired because you work at a library. Just putting up books. It's so much more than just putting up books in a library. It's
Mm-hmm.
so much more,
Summer
especially if
reading,
you're
for
working with
example.
everybody, not just people that come in checking in and out. Because I work at a smaller branch within our system, so I'm doing circulation too. I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing team programming and planning, and sometimes I don't like it, but I'm working in children. So, or sometimes I'm paging because we have one page and she only comes in at night, and so we can't let the stuff pile up. So
Yep.
I do a little bit of everything, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Can I ask, it's the same thing. Our children's floor has its own circulation desk. So we, like I said, there are like three full timers and we all do programming and we all do outreach, a lot of outreach. Fun fact, we just did all 3 days of kindergarten registration and we did 95 library card signups. I was so tired last week, followed by our first ever mini golf fundraiser. And I mean, like I left work on Saturday and I was like, I'm so tired, I'm nauseous, I'm going to bed. So we need time to prep for these things, but we also have to work the circulation desk. And then we our library doesn't have pages at all. So we have volunteers that'll come in and show, but they really only come in for like an hour. And, like they just can't get through everything. They're volunteers, so they can also choose like not to be there. So we're the same way. We're doing circulation, we're shelving, we're trying to get our office time in so we can prep for programs. We also have computers up there, so we're our reference department basically with regards to literally everything. It's it is what it is. And we only get 2 hours off the desk a day. Like we had to make a schedule. So we figured out other than that, we're doing everything that we need to do as far as prep or statistics or whatever at the desk. But I think that this should all tie in to the biggest program we youth librarians do, and that is summer reading. So I started to dream about summer reading in February. Like I really did start to dream about it in February. And as we get closer, I just panicked and purchased like a bunch more incentives because I'm like, we don't have enough stuff. We might have had enough stuff, but I didn't know. So we bought some more. Thank you, friends, for our friends group approved a lot of stuff today. Not only more incentives, but goat story time with real goats. And llama story time with real llama. So we are well in summer reading. I am very interested to hear how you guys do your summer reading program and then what planning and stuff you are doing to prep for summer, even though ours doesn't kick off till January 21st. But we're still knee deep in it. So I'm really interested.
Okay, so around February we always go to Ruston and we have a big summer reading workshop. And it's basically from the collaborative manual, and
Mhm.
we have a I forgot what her title is, but she comes in from Baton Rouge from working at the state, and she just goes over the whole manual, like the whole thing, and she explains the different programs that are listed, the book list, and even some little things that she's maybe come up with that's not in the manual, and we all take notes and things like that, and try to just kind of see what may work for our group and whatnot. And so when we come back, so this is in February, when we come back, we start planning. We start going over the manual, going on Pinterest, blogs, and sometimes I've contacted other libraries if I see they've done a program that I may want to try to do in my branch. And so we start, kind of playing around with different ideas. And once we have like a set of programs I may want to do, we try to figure out the dates. I always work late on Thursday nights, so all my programs are on Thursdays. And our summer reading starts May 17th and it ends August.
Did you say May?
Yeah, summer reading starts May 17th with the kickoff, and then
When
it
did they get
ends
out
in
of school?
August. Hmm,
When did the kids get out of school?
May 25th, I think.
Oh, that our kids don't get out until June. They're actually getting out. Normally, we have like 97,000 snow days. But like I said, I'm in Connecticut. We got hit in snow days last year. But luckily, they didn't have as many. So they're getting out on June 7th.
Yeah,
Um, oh my. And when do they go back to school?
August, like maybe the third week in August, I think.
You
Third or
poor
second week.
thing. You
But we
poor
have it.
thing.
Like, the first weekend is the last day. So, like, the first Saturday is, like, our read strong, and the whole parish tries to read a certain amount of pages, and that's, like, the end of the summer reading. But, once we have, like, our programs, our dates, and our times, we do a big web page submission for the latter part of May, which is May 17th through the first weekend in August, and we turn all those programs in March. And we finally can breathe after that because it's a lot of programming that we've been doing and brainstorming and all that stuff. And then in May, like the first part of May before the kids get out of school, I already have our newsletters done, and we all go out to the schools and promote and promote and promote to let them know about the summer reading kickoff that's going to be happening within a few weeks after that. And so, once we have the school is out, we get ready to do our kickoff. It's like the big carnival thing, and we have tables where they can sign up. We use the platform One Do. We used to use events, but One Do is a little
Wando!
more, yeah, it's a
You
little bit
guys,
more
nope, I
active.
know it.
I
I
love it.
know Wandu, and they just took it away from us this year. I that'll be my
What do
I'm gonna
y'all
keep on going.
use?
You keep going, and I
Okay.
will tell
So we use
you.
one dude, and I like it because little avatars and things like that. And we started to implement the point system. So if you have like based off the theme, it's like with space. So we're gonna have different categories to for like your home, like a little like for last year's better explain. Like last year was like um what was the thing for last year? It was
Was that the do something nice thing?
yeah,
Make
yeah.
it
So
be
like at
nice to
home
people.
So, like, at home, you would have to kinda, like, clean out your cabinet or clean up your room, and then there was another section for community, take an hour to volunteer to pick up trash in your community, and so you would every time you did something, you got a point, or go to library program, you got a point for that, and
Mhm,
then you would log it all in, and once you get that, you get a certain amount of points, you go to the library, and you just come to us, one of us, and say, "Hey, I got a notification that I'm up for my first set of prizes," and so
mhm.
I'll go in, one dude, which I love, and I would click on awards or prize, and I would get out the prizes, and then so on with that. And then every time you enter in a point, or yeah, once you get your like your points and whatnot, you get put in for a drawing at the end of the summer, like the big drawing. And sometimes we
Mhm,
do an iPad for the team. I think last year we gave away bikes,
mhm.
and so
Ooh,
yeah,
that's a good
very nice.
one. My friends.
And, so thankful for the friends because we couldn't have done that. No, I think somebody donated those bikes to us. I think they did.
Yeah, that's
But,
okay.
with the iPad and everything, friends helped us with that a lot. So and then that's basically it as far
Mhm,
as,
mhm.
like, the backstory of it, and then
Oh
on Be Strong is, like, the 1st Saturday of the month of August, and
yeah.
we
Mhm,
all have hot dogs and Frito pies or nachos, and everybody comes in the branch from 10 to 2 and read. It doesn't matter what it is, just
mhm,
read, and you log in the amount of pages that you read, and we add that to
mhm,
the points, you get prizes for
mhm,
that, and then
mhm.
the Ouachita Parish as a whole have read a certain amount of pages, and we have a goal that we try to reach.
Right.
And, um, that's really that's really it, but
Wow, that's
and
so
we don't do any
bomb.
programming in August. You have an option of
Mhm.
having programs in August, but most of the time, as people take their vacations, is in
I hear you.
August.
Vacation, what's that? So, wow, that's so I like that read Sean. I wrote that down, and I like those bikes. So okay, so just like a little bit of backstory. There was a lot of transition at my library before I started to work there. We had from when I worked there the first time, we had a children's librarian, and then she left, and then they got another like librarian, and then she left, and then they got another one, and then she left after like a year, and then they got a children's librarian, and they decided they needed the head of a department. They had a children's librarian, and about a year later, they hired me to head the department and do teens. So they'd never really had like an official, person to kind of keep an eye out on what's going on, not only in children's and teens, like budgetary wise and whatever, but also when we do collaborative things throughout the branches, such as summer reading. So that's a little backstory. So we're basically rebuilding our summer program from scratch. Like last year, I think we send all of our numbers to the state library, and last year they sent in, well, not last not last year because last year I did summer reading for the first time with them, but the year before, they had said they submitted 12 teens participated in their teen library program and 50 kids participated in there. Now, I want to let you know we have 6 elementary schools. So 50 kids. So I mean, like it just it was a lot of turnover, and I think it was just kind of hard to streamline anything. So we're kind of starting over. So we first of all, do you guys track the amount of reading that they do? I'm interested to know. I know you said with Read Squared, you guys track the amount of pages that they read
We
throughout the
do,
summer.
Wonder actually tracks it because
Yep.
they log
Well,
in
yeah.
the, page numbers. They have the option of page numbers or books. I think that pages are probably easier to do.
Hmm.
But yeah, or they'll come in and if they don't want to do it or they don't really know how, we'll log in the pages. But
Yeah.
they keep track of all of that stuff. But we
Yep.
can always go in and see where they stand if they want to know where they stand with
Yep.
the
Well,
pages.
so, and this is something probably libraries nationwide when it comes to summer reading, tracking how do you track reading, whether you track books, pages, or what we do, minutes. We track minutes. And
Mhm.
it was easier because the same way. the same way you were talking about putting the spine labels with like their like levels, we thought that minutes was equalizing because it doesn't matter if you are a kindergartner reading for 20 minutes, if you are like a really quick reader and you're able to read like 17 chapters in 20 minutes, or whether you read a little slower, you're reading for 20 minutes and maybe you only read a chapter. Like, it doesn't matter how much you get done. What we're tracking is how much effort you put into getting it done, like how much time you put into getting it done. So we track minutes, which is ultimately easier because with prizes, we used to have to split it up. Like, we'd be like, K to 4, if you read this many, I think we did, we might, no, I think we did books. If you read this many books, but then we had to adjust it because book size changes as the kids get
Mhm.
older. Minutes, I don't care what you're reading. I don't care how much you read. I don't care. I don't care if you read 17 books or if you read one. How many minutes did you read for? It just
That's
ultimately made it easier.
interesting. I wrote that down.
Yeah,
I like that.
it is. Yeah, stop and think about it, and it's pretty equalizing because, like, so say you guys track pages, which I also think is bomb. I think that's better than books myself, also. But someone in from 10 to 2 might be able to read a whole book, but they still put in the same amount of time as someone who was only able to read like 8 chapters.
Mhm.
So that was kind of what we did. But so we track minutes, and Wandu, RIP Wandu, we had it, and when I say I used it for like 4 years, I remember Evanced. I used Evanced. Our state library purchased it for us, for any public library to be able to use. So they bought Evance and made Evance for a couple of years. And then Evance switched over to Wandu with the little avatar dude, which the kids loved.
Mhm.
So we did Wandu. Out of the blue, sometime like last fall, I don't even know when, out of the blue, Read Squared popped up. And I'm just thinking that that's like, I don't know what I thought it was. And then we get an official letter saying that, like just the state couldn't, like our state is dealing with money issues. And that they weren't paying for us to use Wandu anymore, so we couldn't use it for free. If we wanted to pay
Oh,
for it individually, then we could, but they aren't paying for it. So now we have Read Squared, which is not as easy to use.
oh,
I When I tell you, someone posted a link onto our listserv and was like, how do you even find the 2019 templates? Like, people were bugging out. People were like, do you understand how, do you understand? Just watching the listservs is just like, you should eat popcorn and just like watch people bugging out over Read Squared.
yeah.
I did luckily figure out how to do the 2019 templates and like posted a big like step-by-step directions for anyone who wanted to use them. But yeah,
We
we
were
are also doing that.
we were kind of like that with Wonder the first time because we have been using events for so long, and Wonder
Mm-hmm.
did have its hiccups with it, but we got it figured out, and our patrons seem to like that a lot more than events.
Mm-hmm.
But when I first started in the library, we were using paper. Like, we had to write down your amount of books and
No,
then turn that paper in, and you had to manually, like,
manually
keep up
enter.
with it and all of that stuff. I remember that, like
I remember that too, and thank God, no more. As a matter of fact, this year is the first year we're not going to offer paper at all. So last year we had was our last year with Wandu. So we had, but we didn't know it. So we had Wandu, and we urged and suggested that people use Wandu, but we had paper printouts
mhm.
just in case. We handed out a ton of paper printouts. People were like, oh, blah, blah, paper, paper, paper. Not one gosh darn paper thing came back. Not one. So that's why this time I was like, we are going to save a small rainforest, leave the
Yeah,
paper alone. Um, and we're going to have teams stationed to enter for you. So if you want to write it on like a piece of notebook paper, that's fine. But you come in, and we're going to have team volunteers entering everything into Read Squared for you. Because I'm not doing paper again, but we do a kickoff event. Ours is typically a performer. So this year with the science theme, we're doing there's a group called Science Tellers, or the space theme.
oh,
There's a group
yes,
called
they come to us. I'm like,
Yay!
y'all aren't a part of, like, the collaborative manual because I just now remember what
Mm-hmm.
last year's theme was. It was Libraries Rock. That was last year.
Yeah, was that last year?
And this year is about space.
This year's space, what was the year where it was
It
do
was
nice
about going
stuff?
green the year before.
Okay, I probably got my years mixed up. But I remember one we didn't I remember no one liked the theme. So so
Yeah, I
we
didn't either from the previous year.
yeah, so we everyone kind of changed it to doing random acts of kindness or something because it was something ambiguous and strange. But yeah, we do the collaborative, but we don't really we get the book. I don't know
It's
how much we
not like
actually. It's just so
last year
big.
and the year before that and the year before that. It was no, especially the year before last year. We just did our own because the manual
Hmm.
I felt was, especially for teens, I felt it was more for kids and that
Yeah.
manual. So we kind of just got together and just did our own thing. But
Yep. Yep. We have it to kind of reference and we use the images, the imagery that they come up with, but and we work within the theme. But even with regards to the list of books, like the books that they pepper throughout, we have a summer governor's reading list. So one of our librarians who used to work for our like state library system and now she's semi-retired, she
mhm,
still puts together the list and she's got criteria like it must have been an award winner between X and X years and yada 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 and puts together a bunch of books based around the theme. And she breaks it down by grade, and then she breaks it down by fiction, nonfiction, poetry, and biography. So, like, we have a very detailed list, and it's a summer governor's list. And I guess if a kid reads all of them or a certain amount of them, they get like a thing from the governor. I don't know.
I just
Um,
wrote that down.
yeah, I don't, I'll send it to you. They
Okay.
sent us it's not the finalized copy. She's looking to add a few more things, but I'll send it to you so you can take a look at it. But so that's we order our books from that list, and then the nutmegs we have that's our state book award. So we have that for elementary, intermediate, middle school, and high school. So we order those, and then anything that like the town schools come up with. Um, so basically, we always our program is always 6 weeks, and like I said, our kids this year are getting out June 7th, but normally we'll have so many snow days that they might not get out until mid-June. And then they start school before before Labor Day. So they tend to start school late August. So our program is running from June 21st to August 2nd because a lot of people like you, a lot of people are gone in August. So that's basically how long we count the books for. Um, but yes, we always have a kickoff. So we're doing science tellers. We always have a finale, and we're doing this year. It's like a magic show. And like I said, we're in transition with our program. So our the way we do our teen like books, and with them right now, we're tracking books. I hope to find a way to migrate it to minutes. But I read a school library journal article where someone was trying to beef up their teen library program, and they started instituting scratch tickets. I have the link to that somewhere in my email. I will send it to you if you're interested.
Okay. Yeah, I
But
am.
they make scratch tickets, so the kids put their name, their school phone number, whatever, and how many books they're checking out that day. Because summer read is basically the honor system. I don't know if you really read what you liked that you
Mhm.
read. I'm just like assuming that you did, and I'm just gonna take you at your word and go on about my day and not worry about it. So we're assuming that the kids are going to read the books that they pick out, or at least like read enough of it to decide they don't want to read it, and then like I'm all for you for leaving it alone. But so we have all these tickets, and in the corner of the ticket is we buy these little scratch off things, and so you scratch it, and there might be a prize. So last year we had like a free book, a bracelet with our library name on it, free ice creams from McDonald's, like lanyards, pop sockets. Like we just have like a whole bunch of stuff. So they do a scratch off ticket, and if they win, the whole point of it was like instant gratification. Like they
Right.
instantly walk away with something right there. They don't have to come back for it. They don't have to register online because we've noticed that as kids get older, they're less likely to do that. Especially since now we have this dumb read squared. But just kind of in our area, we notice they're less likely to go online and log and register and remember their password. They just don't do it.
Yeah.
But the scratch tickets are great. So we just keep them, and like at the end of the week, I'll go in and just sort of like do a count up and have a running spreadsheet. Um, and then at the end, any of the losing tickets, the tickets that didn't win a prize in the moment, we kept separately. And at the end of the summer, we pulled out. three names, and they got prizes, which were typically like book bundles. So I go to Book Expo. So I put together book bundles of pre-published books. And so the three that we pulled out who like didn't win at some point when they did a scratch ticket, they would win a book bundle. And then the three kids who did the most reading over the summer, just from like the overall book list, we would they like won some other prizes that were donated. So that's how we did. That's how we did our teen program last year, and they loved it. They loved it. They're like, are we gonna do that again? The younger kids were like, do I get a scratch ticket? And I was like, nah, you don't get a scratch ticket. I have the program. And they were like, oh man. And I was like, that's all right. I was like, you come over here when you're in sixth grade, and then you're gonna get a scratch ticket. So that was a very successful
Like
program. We went from, it was bomb. We went from the previous year, they logged 12 kids, right? So last year, we logged 100 kids. So that was a drastic increase. And it was a very last minute decision. So we didn't even promote it the way we would have if we'd like had the idea in advance.
mhm.
That's what we did for teens. And I can send you that article if you're interested in it.
Yeah, I
And for kids this year, we're trying it for the first time. So I am panicked, but we're doing book bucks. And so this is where the read squared comes in, what would have been Wandu. Like I said, we track minutes. So we have the kids track the amount of minutes that they read. And what we're doing for every 20 minutes, they get a book book. So they log their 20 minutes, and they'll get a notification. Oh, you have one book book. You have three book books. And they'll come in and get the book money. It's just like fake money that I made on Canva.
mhm.
So they have the option to save up their bucks, like save up their little library money. And we have a library store, and we have teen volunteers that are the store managers.
Oh,
So the kids
cool.
can take their money and go shopping in the store, and the different items cost different things. So like the books are going to be the most expensive. So, do your reading and save up until you have, 20 book bucks, and then you can go in and buy a book. Or if you see, we have like little we have like playing cards, or we have like for those the little slime hand things where you like throw it
Mhm.
and stick to a wall. Maybe that'll cost like three book bucks. So read for 60 minutes, and earn three book bucks, and then you can redeem your money and buy the little slime hand. That's what we're doing it. But we're also going to be keeping track of how many minutes they read. We do a finale, and we only invite kids to our finale party who have read 300 minutes, or X amount of books. And we do that because we would have issues with kids who hadn't participated in summer reading at all, like isolating, like taking up the amount of space for the finale that we can hold in the room. And kids who had spent time reading, there was no space left for them. And that just wasn't very fair to us, like in our
Right.
opinion. The
Yeah.
finale program was for people who participated. 300 minutes is not a lot of minutes. It really, really isn't, when you sit down and get right down to it. So we invite them to the finale, and then our top three readers, whoever read the most minutes, we give them passes to things. So we've got an indoor ropes course that we have passes that were donated to us, one of those trampoline parks, and we just like put together some stuff and certificates, and we give them to our top three readers. And in
That's
between, we have a bunch of
really
programs. Yeah, we have incentivized programs that we do throughout the summer. So those are programs that only people who are participating in summer read can do. So we don't care how many minutes you've read, but as long as you are participating. So like last year, we built an escape room. We're not doing that again. It took like 3 months, but we built an escape room, and only kids participating in summer reading could come. So that was a way that we were incentivizing them with an experience, and not just incentivizing them with like a pair of fake sunglasses, to read.
yeah.
So we kind of do both.
Yeah, incentives are like the breadwinner for your programming, because
Yes.
especially really, really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say
Mm-hmm.
like if I have prizes left over from summer, when I go to my open houses, I always have them on display so I can get rid of
Mm-hmm.
them and always try to buy new stuff. But
Yes.
yeah, incentives are good. They love food. Who's
Oh my
eating?
gosh.
They love food, but
Yes.
I really like them, and we always meet once a month, and we're getting ready to
Mm-hmm.
meet next week. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna mention about tracking minutes instead of books and pages. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. I hope to find a way for us to do scratch tickets with minutes, but I just can't think up one. So with the older kids, it might just be books, like how many, but that with them, with the older kids, we just want to get them in the building. So that's kind of like what we're doing. But with the younger kids who are still like seriously developing their reading skills, the minutes are so great and so equalizing between the kids. The parents are a little frustrated, and I'm like, look, guesstimate, okay? Like I don't know if your kid read 18 minutes, round up to 20. Like it's okay. It's all
Yeah,
right.
you're gonna
Like
have
don't yeah, don't like
people.
freak out. Get an egg timer, set it and then we all have phones, like when it dings it's 20 minutes. I don't know what to tell you, but um just the folks that I work with, we I was given an analogy once that really, because at first I was against minutes. I really was. I was like, it's such a hassle. But someone said, they were like, well, imagine you're, a freshman in high school and you really want to make the varsity basketball team. Do you go outside and practice 3 times over the summer, or do you practice for 20 minutes every day? And I was like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that turned me over to minutes. But that's basically how we're doing our program. And I'm very terrified of the book bucks because it is the first time that we're going to try this. So cross your fingers
It's
for
always
me.
good to, like, do new things, but, like, in the back of your
Yeah.
mind, you still have that fear, like my career day. You still have that fear in your mind,
um,
but it's fickle, and it's just you just never know. You just never
yeah.
know. But I really like those ideas that you said.
Your
Really,
reach
really.
strong idea, I really love that. It seems so unifying for the community.
Yeah. And it's like those, what's that telethon, the muscular dystrophy telethon where everybody's calling and calling.
Oh,
So, like, we
yep.
do that. Like, we call all of us call in the main branch like, "Hey, teens read this many pages and this many pages, and in total, this is we read 100 pages for this branch." And so,
Oh.
at the end of, like, once we got all the numbers turned in, they announce, um,
Mhm.
in the main floor how many pages the whole community has read, and, send out our emails. It's a press release for it, and just gets the parish reading. So,
Yeah, and I can understand pages for that totally.
yeah.
Like that idea is in my mind, and I'm like, we could do pages. Like I'm not even mad. And we have a 3 branch system too, and like I can see
You
that
have 3 branches?
we do.
10.
We do. Whoa! Oh, well, see,
I have 10.
I think our biggest, well, Connecticut's small, but I think our biggest library system. So the one I worked at previously had 5, including the bookmobile, the 5 branch system. And I think Hartford, whichever, it's a state capital. I want to say they have mad branches. And I know New Haven, where Yale is, they have like 6 or 7. They got some unnecessary, like I don't even know what all the branches are. Wilson, I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
we have, like we have 10. We have 10. It's like it's so big that we have it's not as big as it seems, but we have floaters, meaning the people like when we're short staff, we have people that just float around the different branches to just fill in.
I love it.
So, yeah,
Wow.
10 of them.
That's kind of cool. I like I especially with summer reading, I'm always interested in how other people structure their programs and kind of like cherry pick, some ideas and
Oh, I
stuff.
forgot to mention, I do not let my teens come to my programs in the summer if they do not register. Because, like
Um,
what's the po okay, like, even if you come to the program, just you get prizes for
yep,
coming. You get a
yep.
prize for registering, period. So go ahead
Yep.
and register. And it's a reading program. Nope, you can't you come in here, I got the sign-up sheets right here. Go ahead and sign up. I don't let them go in the program unless even on my
Um,
sign-in sheet, I have a section like, I'm not gonna be there for summer reading at my branch because I'll be
mhm.
to move in, but I have everything that my replacement needs. And on that sign-in sheet, it has, "Are you registered for summer reading? Yes or no?" If you click no, come see me at the end of the program or before so we can sign you up. And you can
Yep.
log that program in and you get 2 prizes. You get a prize for signing up and you get a prize to come to that program. So
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
it's a win-win.
Yeah. But But I must say, the scratch tickets did like low key get on my nerves. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I was like, I'm so tired of these darn scratch tickets. But it was just so easy. Like, I was just like, you were officially now part of our summer reading program, whether you want to be or not. And then I was like, scratch this and see what you get. And the scratching of a ticket, I have never. And I'm like, I really hope we're not like promoting gambling. But I'm like, there's this scratching of the tickets. They were like, do anything, do it. What do you? Then sometimes more than one kid would be there checking out books and scratching together. And of course, we kept our eye out, like, didn't I just see you? Or, whatever. Or
Mhm.
like it's one checkout per day. So if you check out two books and then go back and get another one, now it's one per day. But we didn't have any like cheating. Like there's only three of us who run it, so that would be an easy thing. And we know so many of the kids by name that if
Yeah.
we were suspicious of something, we would know. But no, we didn't. The kids would take out a book and come back in a reasonable amount of time to return it and, check out something else. Like it was lovely. It's not a perfect system yet. Um, and it's also like it's like slightly less maintenance, which I also kind of like because
Mhm.
summer. So we also run a grant sponsored tutoring program over the summer for kids rising kindergartners to rising third graders who read below grade level. So
Mhm.
while we're running the summer reading program, we're also running that program, which is a completely separate. So the fact that the teen program, like you just kind of just the very act of checking out books and us like forcing the scratch ticket down your throat,
Yeah.
kind of takes care of the teens. The spreadsheet's a little obnoxious, but it's not perfect, but we're getting
Yeah, it works. It's just
there. Hmm.
yeah. Everything has room to say, okay, this worked. What didn't work? What can we
Hmm.
improve? Not what didn't work. What can we improve? I like that
Yeah.
better. So
Yep. Exactly. Yes.
this is fun. I
Yes,
had
it
so many different
was.
ideas.
I know, me too. I just been scribbling zombie prom. I'm gonna get there. And if you're interested at all in the Blacklight Party, um, I
Yes,
can
I
send you
want
the
all that.
outline of what I did.
And I'll get you the zombie prom stuff because we even have like a photo booth there as well where they can take pictures. We won't have it this year because they went out of business. But
Mm-hmm.
like I said, you can always modify it that
Yeah.
fits you. So
We also
I
apply
will.
for grants and things. So like Connecticut Humanities, like we apply for grants and go to the friends and the board and stuff. So yeah, we are. That's how we're getting our goats for our baby goats for story time.
Oh, it's gonna
Um,
be cute.
we get to dress them up in pajamas. So they're baby goats, so we dress them up in pajamas and snuggle with them.
They just
I
did
get
a goat yoga here. Like maybe I think sometime last year they had a goat yoga.
goat yoga. All
Yes, they had like
right,
the
that's a
little goats
conversation for
and they was doing
another
yogas.
podcast.
So cute. So
We're
cute.
gonna talk about that.
But yeah, this was fun. I've never done this before, talking about
Me
different
either.
programs. This is it's good to be able to talk to other librarians about this because
Mhm.
you get lost and it's good to be able to have somebody there to kind of just
Yes.
I'm stuck this month. I need help with programming. So
Yep. Yep.
I hope
Yep.
it's something that helped you guys. And let you know that we struggle too sometimes and just you know we got your back. Librarians unite.
Yes, definitely.
So I didn't have anything else to add. If you wanted to add anything,
No, I've good. I thought summer reading was a nice place to end. So
yeah.
nope, I am good, and I got my own notes down here. So I'm really excited. This is great.
Well, so for next month, we're going to be talking about "Defy Me" by Tahereh Mafi. It came out today, so if you haven't gotten the book, get it. I already got mine, but I'm waiting to read so I can reread "Restore Me" because I read it too fast. And we will let you guys know of a date. But it'll probably be the end of the month, maybe
Yeah.
in the next month. So, but that's what we're gonna be doing for next month. So.
Yay.
Don't forget to check out our podcast too. It should be up sometime this week. I have it all linked below in the description bar as well. So thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.